The answer to this often question is till the end of your days. Many people reach out and post and ask me around the different gyms and studios is how long before I see my core getting stronger? How long do I need to work on my core? Okay, the answer is to the end of your days, guys. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we also today we're going to dive a little bit more about your back pains and aches and your hip stiffness and all that. Okay? Now, let's get one thing for clear. When we're referring about your core, we're not just talking about your abs, even though just yesterday we were talking a little bit about the abs and how the role they work and how you actually can efficiently work them. But today we're going to dive more into the back pain or the neck pain that comes because of doing ab workout. Okay, so the first thing that we need to know is that if you have incurred or had any back pain or maybe even hip pain, this is something that you're going to have to work on for the rest of your days among us. Okay, every single day. If you're 50, if you're 70, if you're 80. Because why? Because even walking is good for your core strength. Your posture is good for your core strength. It's a telltale sign. Now, the first thing that you need to do, okay, to figure it out where is your core strength, where do you start, where you pick it up, where you need to take it to the next level, is to actually get an objective baseline on where your core strength is. And today we're talking core strength, but not to sound like Oprah.
So one hand down at a time, one hand up at a time.
Brings you
If it's too much, you can drop down to your knees and do it. But again, make sure that your nose is in front.
On and off achy backs, that's your struggle. Reach out and get your strength. Now, when we're talking about your back and your core overall as a whole unit, like I mentioned, it's like a corset. We're looking at three things, and that's the beauty of working on your core muscles, right? Because it's a mix of both muscle and slow twitch fiber and fast twitch fiber. So there are days that you can do high reps, or other days you can do high reps and low reps, or heavyweight, lightweight. So every day, the key is to know when you need to do strengthening. Okay, so strength can be a variety. That's the fun part. As you can see, some days you use the band. Other days you can just use the core disc or Bussu. This is one of my favorite tools.
One of the three key areas is actually having
yoga, different style of yoga, and of course when the weather is nice and when you have the space, medicine ball can make it even more fun. So strength is a key component. Now the other side is the stability component, and many of you guys are familiar with something like the dead bug, right? Opposite arm, opposite leg. Now, the reason why we teach people and instruct people through that, especially during therapy or back recovery, back rehab, is because it mimics in a supported way, in a controlled environment, your walking, your gait. So if you're able to stabilize your spine, strengthen your abdominals, stabilize your spine while you do the opposite arm, just like normal gait should be, we are actually able to progress you slowly when appropriate to the next level of spine stability, core stability. Okay, so that's number two. Number three is mobility. In this case, for the spine, we want your joints along the spine to be able to be mobile, your hip joints to be mobile. So sometimes we call it flexibility. In this case, I'm going to refer to it as mobility. Now, as far as mobility goes, we're looking at the fascia, and I touch a little bit about the fascia, the fact that it's a connective soft tissue. I call it the 6 highways of your body, because they're all connecting muscles to ligaments and in between the muscles. So the fascia is very critical because you need to figure it out, or get the help to figure it out, if it's pain that you're suffering or it's too much tension that is limiting your mobility or the muscle to go further and kind of get to that next level of strengthening. So fascia is very important. Okay, now if you do this right, you will always be ready to go. I had a client, we're gonna call it Tommy. That's one of my favorite clients, not only because he was also lefty like I am, but he used to not only work out with me 3 days a week, right, but he would play tennis and run a golf all on the same day. Now, why was he able to do that at his age? because we were always working onto that next level, revisiting where he was at, reestablishing the baseline, kind of like moving the goalpost. The better he did, the more we were able to advance. But he was able to go through his later years having fun, enjoying, creating memories with his grandkids, with his kids when they were in town. So he played tennis, he played a round of golf, and worked out for an hour, hour and a half with me, because his core was always ready to serve him and carry him to the next activity. Now, you know that you're doing it wrong when you always feel like you're taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. Kind of like you're doing really good, you start a workout program, and then somehow your back tweaks out on you. Or you go on a hike and you're like laying flat on your back for 3 days when you come back. So that's one. Another way for you to know that you're kind of going the wrong way about it is what I call the piñata approach. Kind of like you do this, you try that, and hopefully sticks. And it's kind of like, let's see what comes out of the piñata. You have no structural framework to follow that tells you that you're on the right track, that you're progressing and pushing yourself and your core muscles at the right rate and in the right direction. So now, on that note, if you do need help with establishing what is the right pathway for me, I do a blueprint, a core. It's called the 3D core blueprint, and it's called a blueprint because as you get better, just like a house, when you build a house, we shift and remodel it so you can keep moving forward. So it's not a program, it's not a cookie cutter, because it is a blueprint of you as you progress. Okay. Now we talked a little bit about what to look out for and what you need to keep in hand and what not. So as you can see, some of these exercises are kind of like a variety, but they're not level 1 and they're not level 10. They're somewhere in between. The key for you now is to figure out which way and which one of these exercises will serve you the best. And there's millions and millions of different ways that we can help you create a nice 3D core blueprint. Now, if you find yourself comfortable, kind of like, I don't feel my back pain, I do whatever I want, I just took a couple of Motrin, I can just pop a couple of Tylenols, just let me remind you, comfort is a silent way to die by 1,000 cuts. So do not rest on your laurels. Get after it, push yourself, and get your strength, because the strength comes as you grow, as you evolve. Okay? Now tomorrow we're gonna go back into more of that stability, like your core stability in your spine, and also the core strength as you see in some of this video. So stay tuned and we'll catch up tomorrow.